My life is full of fixing things, repairing things, rebuilding things, recycling things and upcycling things. I get through an awful lot of WD-40 and quite frankly I can't afford to buy it anymore, so I'm going to show you how you can make your own. At $16 a can, my habit's just getting out of hand, so I had to do something about it. I went online to do some research to find out just how WD-40 is made. It didn't take long for me to find a recipe, but whoa, the ingredients list just had me flummoxed. Two ingredients that I did recognise were mineral oil, which is its base constituent, and carbon dioxide, which is its propellant. The solvents that were included, they just had me beat. There was names like decane, pentane, nonethane, tetradecane, dimethyl naphthalene and cyclohexane. So I immediately knew that I wasn't going to find those things down at the local hardware store. Or was I? What I did was I searched the properties of each of those chemicals and discovered the kind of products that they get used in. And I found that despite their complicated chemical names, there's really nothing too scary about what these chemicals do. Basically, inside the can, you've got four ingredients. You've got a lubricating oil, you've got penetrating solvents, you've got a nice smelly fragrance, and you've got a propellant. So what I've done is duplicated those four features using compounds that I could find either on the shelf at home or in the hardware store, and I've made my own WD-40. Yep, it's slightly different, but I've now been testing it for weeks and I love how it works. But the problem I've had is dribbly little bottle. I can't make it spray uphill or atomize. So I'm going to modify the old WD-40 can so that I can refill it, charge it with air, and I can use it on my projects. So what are the three products used in tiny house and off-grid resources WD-40? Automatic transmission fluid, fish oil, or fisholene as it's known by most people. This one is a deodorized fisholene that smells pretty good, and I'm going to use it as it is. And engine start. Engine start is full of ether and quite a few of those fancy sounding chemical names that I mentioned a few moments ago. That is my solvent pack. And that's what the finished product looks like. It's been working really well for me. How it works is the carriers allow it to get into things and then they dissolve and evaporate, leaving the fisholene behind, which provides the protective coating. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I modified the can, which I love using because it's got this fancy nozzle and straw for getting into places. I'm going to show you how I've modified the can so that I can use it to spray uphill, round corners and down into crevices. All you need to make a can refillable and reusable is one of these. A valve stem from either a bicycle or a car tube. Remove the valve stem from the tube and then go and get yourself either a grinder or a Stanley knife and remove the rubber coating from the outside of the valve stem so that you're down to the clean brass. Give it a good wire brush because we're going to solder this into the neck of the can. Here it is, all cleaned up and ready to go. I'm going to hold it in the little valve tool that you buy from bicycle shops or car accessory shops that allow you to work on these things. You can pull the stem through the hole in the rim with this tool. You can remove the valves, Schrader valve core. That's what I'm doing here because I'm going to heat this up and solder it. Here's the other tool you'll need, a stepped drill. Doesn't have to be a step drill, but they're so handy because it's all your drill sizes in one drill. So I'm going to remove the pressure from the can. This can's nearly empty anyway, but I'm going to put the remainder of the product in with my own stuff, and then I've got an empty can with no pressure and no product inside it. Once you've removed the pressure, there's absolutely no danger in drilling holes in an aerosol can, so don't you worry yourselves about that. Now that it's empty, I'm going to pull the top off, store that over here, and I'm going to drill a hole in a handy place to put the valve. The valve doesn't have to be at the top, but having it in the top just means that it'll fit nicely on the shelf with my other cans, and the valve stem's not going to get caught on things. These step drills are great. They do cost a little bit, but they're very strong and hard to break. For those of you who quite often break your small drill bits, this is a great way of keeping one that won't get broken. Because it's stepped and tapered, it's very well supported by the larger sizes. So I'm just easing this out step by step till it gets to the right size, and then I'll grab my soldering iron and I'll tin the can and the valve stem to give them a light coating of solder, and then I can put them in place and solder it up and give myself a pressure tight join. Now for soldering, everything's got to be scrupulously clean. I don't know what WD-40 coat their cans with. It may have a zinc passivated coating or something like that to stop it rusting. So I've got some 240 grit sandpaper, and I've rubbed and cleaned both the valve stem and the neck of the can to prepare it for soldering. You will need a fairly decent sized soldering iron. This is a 40-watt soldering iron. It's a little bigger than the kind you would use for circuit board work. It's more the kind of soldering iron that you'd use for general wiring. A big soldering iron transfers the heat well into the can and makes short work of heating it up, whereas a small 25-watt soldering iron just won't quite do the job. So here we go, couple of minutes chasing solder around the place, and we've got a nice tight pressure proof join, and we're ready to reassemble it by putting the Schrader valve core back into it again. But we won't do that. The first thing we've got to do is fill the can with product again. I haven't got myself a little funnel yet for doing that, so I'm going to just get my old squirty bottle and squirt it down the valve core. Each time you fill your newly refillable can, you do need to put your finger on the button to let the air out. Otherwise, you'll see what's happening here. I wasn't quite pressing it hard enough, and I was dribbling a little bit of the stuff and losing it. So, product going in, air must come out. Keep your finger on the valve. And now we're going to put some air in. Don't worry about bursting the can. These cans are tested to over 240 pounds per square inch. The average compressor can only put in a maximum of 120 pounds. A lot of compressors are right down to 80 or 90 pounds. So don't worry about having the thing blow up in your face. It won't happen. So here we go. Put a little bit more air in because I haven't put quite enough in. And we'll try the spray. Look at that. Lovely. Let's try the straw. Isn't that amazing? So if you're the kind of person who likes to save money, or you're the kind of person who likes to rebuild, recycle, replace or upcycle, then you should be subscribed to this channel.